Hi everyone. I will speak in English, and my name is Akin, and I am with Facebook. I'm a partner manager at Facebook, and I basically look after mobile developer relationships, and I look after Russian developer relationships. Before I start, I want to thank the Sociality Rocks team and Game Insight team for hosting us here. We are extremely excited about Russia. As you might know, a couple months ago, our CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, was here. We are super dedicated. We'll be coming back here every couple of months to share with you what we're building. The amount of talent, especially from a game developer perspective, we see in Russia is second to none. So we are very, very excited to be here. I'm going to talk about basically what channels you have with Facebook to grow your games. But before that, I want to just sort of take a couple minutes to describe to you the evolution of our platform, how we got here, because I think it will be important when we start talking about the mobile channels that are available. So Facebook platform was born in 2007. Before 2007, there was no platform. You couldn't build apps on top of Facebook. And when Facebook platform started, gaming companies were the first ones to jump in. As always with any platform, they really understood the opportunity. They took advantage of the tools that we were building. I want to just emphasize that there has never been a platform that in the history, I think, I'm biased of course, but there has never been a platform that was able to create as much value this fast. So especially from a gaming perspective, we have about 250 million people who play games actively on platform, and this is much larger than any other gaming platform that you have out there, including the Xboxes, Wii's, PlayStations of the world. And what's interesting for us is that we are working with some of the most interesting companies. So we look at the numbers. Zynga, in a very short amount of time, became a multi-billion-dollar company. We've seen some really interesting acquisitions from companies who are building apps on Facebook. Double Down is a great example. They were acquired by several $100 million. Playtika, obviously, is another great example. They were also acquired by several $100 million. So we work with a lot of these companies that you see here on a daily basis. And these are all companies that are based in Europe or Middle East. And these companies, what's interesting about them is that they build games on Facebook, even if they are not building games on Facebook.com. So I want to emphasize that. For us, you could be building a mobile-only game, and we still consider you a Facebook developer if your game is using Facebook's vital channels that are available to you. Obviously, Dragonplay, Rovio, Gameloft are some examples of companies that have started building games on mobile and then became Facebook developers. Playtika, Muga are examples of companies who started building games on Facebook.com and then really showed some real strong presence on mobile. King.com is a very interesting case. Right now is the #2 developer for us worldwide. Started really just 18 months ago and shifted their entire strategy to build games on Facebook. What's really exciting for me is the amount, as I mentioned earlier, the amount of high-quality Russian game developers that we see on Facebook. So the top developers in Russia are already building games on Facebook platform, whether it be top developers in social networks in Russia or whether it be top mobile developers. And really, I am very, very excited to be working with all these companies very closely. And we're going to do everything we can in the next year to make sure that we make real success stories out of these companies. So we noticed that a lot of times people look at the diversity of our platform. And I want to emphasize that here. About a year ago, we had one developer out of the top 10 developers on Facebook based in Europe or Middle East or Africa. Right now, 50% of the top 10 developers we have are based in Europe, Middle East, Africa. This changed in over 12 months. Good example is Rovio, obviously a mobile-first developer. Peak Games, based in Istanbul, just came out of really nowhere and right now is one of the top 5 developers for us worldwide. Same with Social Point. King.com obviously is a big success story for us. You know, one of our favorite companies, Game Insight, is already one of the top developers for us on Facebook. And the reason I like to use this example is, again, to underline the point that we'd like it if you're building games on Facebook.com. We think it brings a lot more cross-platform goodness to your games. But you could be a mobile-first developer and still be a top developer on Facebook. So, if you remember nothing out of this talk, I just want you guys to remember that, you know, a lot of times mobile developers have to differentiate themselves, have to kind of stand up in the noise, have to really distribute their games in a very effective way. This is the one thing that no other company can say. If you're big on Facebook, you will be big on mobile. So I want to just sort of delve deep in and like really communicate this message a little bit more in depth, add some color to it. So I added some examples of companies, all based in Europe, who were big on Facebook, and then when they launched their mobile games, immediately became top apps on whether it be Android, whether it be iOS. So obviously Wooga with Diamond Dash is one of the showcases that we like to use a lot. I'll talk more about them in a second. The most recent example is Candy Crush Saga. So King.com, this is their flagship app. They spent about a year building this brand, building this franchise on Facebook.com. And within their launch, within 1 week, they became a top app on Facebook. Slotomania, I will again talk more about them. They became a top app on Facebook, and then when they launched, they really didn't, do too much around marketing on mobile. They just put now available on iOS on their fan page in Facebook. Immediately became a top grossing app. And same for Top 11 by Nordeus. And you will notice the diversity of the geographies here as well. Wooga is a Berlin-based company, Slotomania is in Israel, Nordeus in Serbia, King.com in UK and Sweden. So I would really love to be able to stand here and then show at least like next year 2 of these 4 games are from Russia, because really the talent is there. It's just a matter of executing in terms of partnerships. So let's delve a little bit deeper into this. So I talked about Candy Crush Saga. Within 1 year, they became the #2 developer on Facebook. And they did this through basically 2 things. They invested a lot on marketing, but they also invested a lot in our viral channels and becoming really a efficient user of all the viral channels that we have. What happened when they launched their game Candy Crush Saga? You will see that immediately, and this was, they launched, I think, last Thursday or, within the last 10 days. I took this screenshot about 2 days ago. They immediately became the top app across some of the key geographies out there. Again, Supercell is another favorite company for us. They are a mobile developer, and they're one of the top grossing mobile. In fact, if you look at the top grossing charts, you will see Supercell everywhere. We consider them to be one of the best Facebook developers out there, not only because they use our viral channels very effectively, but they also use some of the newest marketing products, such as mobile app install ads, which I will talk about a lot in detail again. Slotomania. Slotomania obviously started on Facebook, having a really awesome slot machine app. And as I said, right after their launch, they were top grossing on iOS and top grossing on Android, almost instantaneously. So the message that we're trying to give you is that it's challenging to be noticed on mobile. It's really difficult to get the word of mouth going, cultivate your audience. And we believe that we are really the only viable channel to sort of help you differentiate your apps on mobile. Not only that, but we also studied a lot to see the value of a Facebook connected user versus a standalone user. So here's one of the favorite examples that we have, Bingo Blitz. We've seen that 80% of the revenues on mobile comes from Facebook connected users. Not only that, but they're much more engaged than standalone users. Another example is Vuga's Diamond Dash. So we found that people who are Facebook users, who are Facebook connected, they're 8 times more likely to spend money. And on average, they spend something like 50% more inside the game. So if you're able to do a good job of connecting your mobile applications into Facebook, you will engage your users better, you will monetize better, you will monetize more people and monetize them better. And this is probably my favorite slide. It's just, if you look at any given time in either the Apple App Store or Google Play Store, and you look at the top 10 grossing apps, at any given time, 6 to 8 of them are going to be connected to Facebook. Not only that, but they're going to be connected to Facebook in an efficient and effective way. So obviously, these are some of the examples that I used, but really, we're going to really work with you guys, hopefully, in the next year to make sure that your apps are out here as well. Just to sort of tie the success stories all together, I want to just leave you with this. In August, Facebook sent about 100 million clicks to Google Play and Apple App Store from our application. And this is just, we don't really monetize this. This is just trying to provide distribution for high-quality games that you guys are building. So obviously, okay, now we talked about all this nice stuff, but the question is that how do I turn on this growth machine? How can I make my mobile games stand out more in a crowded market? So I basically divided the best practices that we have into 3 categories. So I'm going to talk about the marketing, which is the paid side of things, and viral channels. But the must-have, really, in working with us is just make sure that you guys adopt the latest SDK that we have. For iOS, this is SDK 3.1.1. For Android, this is the 3.0 SDK in beta. But this basically provides you a bunch of benefits in terms of native authorization dialogues, better session management, native UI components, just faster, better API support, everything around this. You must make sure that you integrate with our latest SDKs. In terms of marketing, I'm going to just sort of talk about in 2 categories. One is, I was talking to a lot of you before the talk today, and I was surprised that there's still a lot of people who don't know that we offer mobile app install ads within the Facebook's mobile app. These are really remarkable products that I suggest you guys at least try. And I'll talk about this a little bit more at length. But the other thing that's really important is just really make sure to cultivate your page's presence on Facebook. Like, engage with your audience through CRM efforts. It's really remarkably powerful how much you can achieve by simply interacting with your fans on a Facebook fan page. In terms of the viral channels, there are many things I'll talk about, but I think it all starts with just having a prominent Facebook login into your game. There's all sorts of permissions things that you have to watch out for. I'm going to talk about request invites, how you can best leverage those. Open Graph is probably the biggest innovation we have done on Facebook platform since 2007. And then finally, App Center. So as I said, using your Facebook page to build awareness either around launch or even to re-engage your users is incredibly important. Here I just put a screenshot of Rovio's Bad Piggies. They have seen some really good success. And Rovio is a very sophisticated company in terms of mobile marketing and so on. But really they spend a lot of time. In fact, the best games that we see, the best gaming companies, they spend a ton of time thinking through how to re-engage their fans, how to build this presence around their fan pages. And just like I mentioned, I think Slotomania's launch was a great example. When they were launching their mobile game, they really used this channel really, really well. And they became the top grossing app almost instantaneously. The other thing, I want to really just spend some time on this. Several months ago, a few months ago, we launched this new product, which is using the Facebook's native applications to distribute your games. We have 600 million people who are actively using our applications on smartphones. And these apps basically look like organic stories. And then if you think about our apps, this news feed, the mobile news feed, is the primary real estate that people interact with our apps. And now, game developers can actually insert advertising units into this mobile news feed. Not only that, but you can also do very sophisticated targeting. You can reach the users you want to reach. These are just really powerful units. So, if you have questions about this, come grab me after the talk or, during the event tonight. I'll be more than happy to tell you about this. And then the interesting thing is, obviously, with one click, we take you to either the Apple App Store or Google Play to just download these games. Second, I want to talk about now, in terms of talking about the viral channels. Facebook login screens are very important. So I'm going to talk about two ways that people have thought about this with different results. If you are betting to be a Facebook developer, and if you really buy in, and you should buy into the notion that Facebook connected users are more valuable than standalone users, then we really recommend to spend some time to optimize this login screen. Here are some of the best practices that we have just put together. Candy Crush Saga, I was really surprised at how well they've thought about this. If you notice in the button, they'll say connect with Facebook or miss out, which is really interesting. So this really matters a lot, because if you do this part well, the initial user drop-off won't be that high, and then you will really be able to sort of tell a story to your users in terms of why they should connect with Facebook, what kind of incentives they will get. You can really upsell them in terms of connecting to the game with Facebook. Another way to do this is the way that Supercell is doing it. So they're thinking about this from a slightly different angle, and then they use contextual pop-ups within their game to connect users to Facebook. So really interesting use of the team up functionality. If you want to team up with your friends, you have to connect to Facebook. And here is another good example of contextual targeting. They say, connect to Facebook and we'll give you 10 diamonds at a point in the game which you can really use those 10 diamonds. Once you do Facebook login, you basically get majority of the benefits of the Facebook platform. You don't need to do any additional work for this. You get a bookmark automatically. You appear in search. You get feed distribution. As I said, this is incredibly important. This is from our mobile apps, which is probably one of the most used mobile apps out there. You get a place in the primary real estate. And obviously for your users, you're able to offer them an easy login mechanism. In terms of going into deeper, in terms of the viral mechanisms, really the two ones I want to touch on are invites and then feed stories. So the most powerful channel we have, I've been talking about this a little bit, is the news feed, but also this globe icon with the notification jewel is incredibly powerful. That red square that pops up we find really engages our users to pay attention to these notifications. So, we recommend to game developers to really leverage this invite functionality to add new users to their games. This is one of the most powerful channels to acquire new users into your games. And then you can publish to the feed through basically either manual sharing or open graph, and I'll talk about that next. Actually, inviting friends in a game, basically the way it works is that inside the mobile application, I can invite my friends. What will happen is my friend will get a push notification. That push notification will trigger the notification jewel, and then that notification jewel will basically say, this guy sent me a request. Within one click, I can go to the App Store. If I have the app installed already, it will launch the app automatically. If I don't have it installed, it will take me to the landing page for the app in the App Store. So this can be used not only as an acquisition mechanism, but also to re-engage your users as well. Open Graph. Open Graph is, as I said, probably the most innovative things we have done on Facebook platform. And what it really is it gives you developers the ability to log information to Facebook's social graph. So what it does is, if you have a mobile game and a canvas game, you can do some really cool things in terms of aggregating stories that you write. You can basically write to the graph as much as you want, as long as those are quality stories, and we will basically aggregate these stories for you and then present it to the user in a socially interesting way. Go back. Here's a good example of what Open Graph stories can do for you. So we give you newsfeed stories. So basically, you can start writing Open Graph stories to our graph, and then we will aggregate them. When a user reaches a new level, we'll surface this story to the user's friend without you having to specify anything. Some of the more interesting stories are around timeline. So timeline was designed to become part of your real identity online. So you can see that it has the top games that you play, it has your scores, it has the top achievements you've earned, stages that you have unlocked, and so on. So all these aggregations are done by Facebook with very minimal effort on the developer's part. The other thing that we have with Open Graph is 2 built-in APIs that you can use. So these are scores and achievements. Any game can use these APIs. It's very simple to use. And the newsfeed stories that these generate are very interesting. You can see that Justin passes Jonathan in a game, and Facebook will then surface this story automatically within the newsfeed. And then within, again, one click, I get taken to the App Store for mobile-specific apps. The other thing that we have done is we have launched App Center. App Center is very different than the existing app stores out there, because the App Center I will see is different than the App Center each one of us will see, because it has to do with what my friends are playing, what they like, what I have played recently, and the social context in which I play these games in. We are currently seeing really good results with the App Center. This has become, for some games, this has become the second or third largest source of installs. And we are featuring games on the App Center with also really good results. So I would really suggest that if you haven't submitted your app, it takes like a couple hours to do. Go ahead and submit your app into the App Center. Then after this speech, come find me, and then we'll talk about how we can help give you some Facebook love for your app. And that's pretty much it from me. I will put on my headphones and try to answer any questions you guys might have.
Пожалуйста, у кого есть вопросы?
Thank you for your presentation. Shall we, as developers, ask the players before we submit some news feeds or in their timeline, or just we can push it anytime?
That's a good question. So we have 2 mechanisms with which you can write onto the news feed and the timeline. Open Graph basically takes this information that you're writing to the graph and aggregates and presents it to the user on your behalf. We also have the feed dialog, which you must ask the user permission to share a certain accomplishment within the game. And if the user gives you that permission, then automatically that story goes into the feed. So the short answer is yes, you must ask permission to the user before you can write on his or her wall. But using Open Graph, you basically log the information into Facebook, and then Facebook will then distribute these stories for you, depending on click-through rates, depending on whether or not a user will find it valuable.
Еще вопросы, пожалуйста. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.